I was 7. The first time I saw him, the sun had just gone down, bruised purple sky over our street. I was staring out my bedroom window, watching the world get quiet. Street lamps flickered on, shadows dancing on the pavement. My street was empty, no cars, no people walking their dogs, just me and the growing dark. Then my eyes locked on something. A figure on the little hill across the road. He stood perfectly still, like a forgotten statue. He wore a long, dark coat that swallowed light. In one hand he held something dangling like rope. He did not move, a black shape against the darkening sky. A cold knot formed in my stomach, not the kind from an open window, a deep inside cold that numbed fingers and toes. I wanted to look away, to hide under my covers, but my eyes were stuck on him. If I blinked, he might be closer. He was just there, watching my house, watching my window. I knew he was watching me. Warm yellow light in the kitchen, my mother at the sink, hands in soapy water, washing plates, my father at the table, newspaper like a shield.
I was breathing hard, words tumbling out. "There's a man on the hill," I gasped, pointing.
My voice small and shaky, like a trapped bird. They turned to look, their eyes soft and tired. My father folded his newspaper slowly. "You have a big imagination, kiddo," he said gently. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes.
Probably just Mr. Henderson walking his dog. My mother dried her hands, knelt down. "There's no one out there, sweetie," she whispered, stroking my hair. "It's time for bed."
They didn't believe me. They thought I was making it up, but I knew what I saw. It wasn't Mr. Henderson. It wasn't a trick of the light. It was him. I couldn't sleep that night. My parents tucked me in. The feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. I left my bedroom door open, just a crack. A thin slice of hallway light cut through the darkness. The house was full of noises I had never noticed before. The refrigerator hummed, the old pipes groaned, the grandfather clock in the hall ticked like a slow, heavy heart. The whole house felt thin, like its walls were made of paper. Then I heard it, right outside my window. Not wind rustling leaves, not a cat on the roof. A slow, deliberate creak, someone shifting weight on the lawn. I slid out of bed, cold feet on the floor. I crawled to the window, staying low. I peeked over the sill, breath held. The figure was there. He had moved from the hill, standing beside our house, in the oak's shadow, looking up at my window. No face, a dark hollow where eyes and mouth should be. He slowly lifted one hand, the hand with the rope. He held it up like a question, the rope dangling like a sick smile. After that night, I gave him a name. The name just appeared in my head, like a word written in smoke. The Hangman. It felt right, tasted like cold metal and old dust. I started saying it to myself when I was alone in my room, whispering it into the darkness. The Hangman. Saying the name was like casting a spell. The air felt thicker. The shadows in the corners seemed deeper. It made him feel more real. As I grew older, the Hangman didn't go away. He was there. Always there. He was a whisper in the hallway. He was a fleeting shadow on the fence. He was the reason I never, ever slept with my back to the window. The years passed, but the fear didn't. It grew up with me, like a second shadow I couldn't shake. The Hangman was no longer just a figure on a hill. He was in the small, wrong details of our lives. A small, perfectly tied knot made from a piece of twine left on our back doorstep. Footprints in the soft mud of the garden after a rainstorm. Too big to be my dad's. Once, my little sister woke up screaming in the middle of the night. Through her tears, she told my parents that a tall man had been standing at the foot of her bed. She said he smiled at her, but he didn't have a mouth. My parents just held her and told her it was a bad dream. My parents tried to make us feel safe. My dad installed new locks on all the doors and windows, checking them 3 times before we went to bed. He put up bright motion sensor lights in the backyard. My mom started leaving the hallway light on all night. They even talked to our neighbor, Mr. Gable. He just shook his head. "Kids have active imaginations," he said, looking at me with pity. Everyone had an explanation. Everyone thought I was just a nervous kid, but the signs kept coming, small and cold and sharp as broken glass. One cold winter evening, I found them. 3 long, deep scratches gouged into the wood of our front door. They were fresh. I could see the lighter-colored wood beneath the dark paint. I ran inside and got my father. He came to the door, a dish towel still slung over his shoulder. He saw the marks, and the tired look on his face vanished, replaced by something I had never seen before. Fear. He pressed his palm flat against the scratched wood and didn't say a word for a long, long time. That was the first time I ever saw my father look small. He looked like a candle that was about to burn out. It's strange how a home that was once so warm can turn so cold. Our house used to be filled with laughter and the smell of my mom's baking, but after a while, the rooms grew quiet and careful. My mother started walking softly. My sister spent more and more time in her room with the door locked. Dinners became silent affairs. We'd just sit there, moving food around on our plates, our eyes darting around the room at every creak and groan the old house made. The dread was a guest that had moved in and refused to leave. It sat with us at the table. It watched TV with us. It followed us up the stairs to bed. I became obsessed with finding proof. I needed to show them I wasn't crazy. I needed to show them that the hangman was real. Every evening I walked the yard's edge. I stared at the hill until the sky turned completely black. One afternoon I found a single heavy boot print in the muddy patch near the back fence, huge, much bigger than my dad's. Another time, a thin, grimy piece of rope tied to the lowest branch of the old oak tree. The knot was strange and complicated. My hands shook as I untied it. My family was falling apart in slow motion. My sister, once so bubbly, loud, grew quiet, pale. She barely spoke. My mother stopped humming while she did the dishes. The biggest change was in my father. He stopped tinkering in the garage. He stopped reading the newspaper. Mostly, he just sat, staring at the blank TV screen. He was staring, but he wasn't seeing. His eyes were looking at something else. Then one Tuesday, my father didn't come down for dinner. My mother called his name from the bottom of the stairs. "Honey, dinner's ready!" There was no answer. We waited. The food grew cold. Finally, my mom went upstairs. I followed. Their bedroom was neat. His wallet and keys were on the dresser where he always left them. His favorite armchair by the window was empty. The window was locked. No note. Nothing. We searched the whole house. Every closet. Every room. We checked the garage. We walked up and down the street, calling his name until our throats were raw. My mother finally broke down, sank to her knees on the front lawn and cried. It wasn't loud crying. It was a quiet, broken sound like a teacup shattering on the floor. That night, the house felt heavier than ever. My sister and I didn't sleep. I sat at my window all night long, my eyes glued to the hill. I was waiting, but the hangman didn't come. It was as if he too was waiting for something. Days crawled by. The police came. They walked through our house with notepads and serious faces. They asked my mother, "When was the last time you saw him? Was he unhappy? Was he having problems?" She gave them a list of things that didn't make sense. The scratches on the door, the knot on the tree. A week after my father vanished, my mother opened the hall closet and froze. I came running. There, on the top shelf behind old blankets, lay a coil of dirty rope. I knew every object in our house. I'd never seen that rope before. We called the police again. A detective touched a dark brownish stain, face grim, and sealed the rope in a paper evidence bag. The house grew even quieter after that, as if it were holding its breath. That night I couldn't stay in my room. I sat at the top of the stairs listening. Then I heard it, a small scraping sound from the garage. I crept down, heart pounding.